Hi, this is Judith Reedy at the Creative Zone, and I'm here waiting to talk to you about the project that we're working on. I'm learning how to be on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time at Judith Reedy Creative Zone, and I am going to be sharing with you my work on a project for a client who I really loved working with, and learning how to be on both YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So here I am kind of testing the sound to make sure everything's working, trying to do it. It's a little tricky because I'm doing it by myself, but I think it's possible to do. It's just a little tricky. But I want to talk to you. As you can see behind me, I have a series of oil paintings and acrylic paintings. But today I'm going to be working with pastel. And pastel is a type of material that is sort of made of pigment and gum arabic rolled either or pressed, depending on whether they're mechanically made or handmade. I have both kinds, the hard ones by New Pastel and some Yarka ones, and I have also some in-between pastels, Rembrandt, and then I have some Unison pastels, which are very soft and hand-rolled from, and I have a whole collection. But when you work with pastel, you start with the hard pastel, and then you work on top with the softer pastel. And that's just the way you work. And the way the client wanted is they wanted a soft pastel painting. And when I say soft, I'm not talking about hard and soft, but I'm talking about sort of a feeling of softness. So that's what I'm kind of working on, but I'm also trying to work on the contrast. But I want to talk to you a little bit about my process, which I share with you all the time. Today, we initially had the process where we were looking at the idea. And I talked about that in previous video because my client had this idea of these images of flowers and pots and things on their patio. And then another member of their family wanted the whole house. So we had to they combine the two. And it was a little tricky because you can't really show the details of the flowers in the pots. If you have the whole house, you have to kind of balance it. And we wanted a view of the house. And in the previous video, I talked about that, and I talked about the drawings that I did in 2. And then in sketches that I prepared. And then in section 3, step 3, we picked some colors out. And now we're working on step 4, and it is taking several sessions. I think it's going to take maybe one more and we'll be done. So we've done 2 painting sessions already, but I'm going to be, this one I pre-recorded, but I'm talking over it while we are going to be doing that. So let's look at the pre-recorded section here, and we're going to start, and I'm going to show you, as you can see here, we have I'm working with a much lighter area. In the softness you see in the sky and in the background and in most of the colors. But I am going to need to increase the contrast a little bit, and it is much darker in the area behind the flowers. As you can see, the patio with the flowers and then the scene with the flowers. And I have to darken some of it to give a little bit more focal on the area that we're going to be concentrating on. But so I've worked with that, and what I use is, as I said, the hard pastels, and over that I put dark pastels. And then I use a rubber container, that tool, that I rub it in and kind of press it into the surface. Now, as you can see on the left, there's a drawing, and I also have what's a paper called glacine, so that I don't rub it off on my hand. I do rub off a little, but now I'm creating some of the contrast by the doors and the windows. Now, I'm probably not going to keep that. I'm probably going to maybe lighten some of these things and darken, as you'll see in this process here. But I'm working on giving a little bit more detail to the shapes in the background, because I have to prepare that before I put the flowers in front. I had thought about making it the whole thing dark and then laying the flowers in front, and if I were painting with acrylic paint I could do that, but I'm concerned that if I do that, even with the soft pastels, I won't get the same brilliance. So I may end up making it darker eventually behind those flowers, but I wanted to get some lightness in the corners where near the outer edge, and so I'm kind of working on that a little bit, and eventually I will make it light and then make it a little darker. And I'm trying to define the shapes a little bit, give them a little more clarity. And I did speed this up probably, I think, 4 times its speed, because this took me about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to work on, and you're seeing it at a little faster speed, but you're still able to see what I'm doing here. As I'm trying to define the shapes. Now, I am making it lighter, but I will eventually be making that a little darker, but I'm really trying to lay a foundation in some places for the flowers that are going to be at the edge of the patio area. And there I'm doing the eaves and trying to get the value of that. It's a very strange sort of thing, because the chimney under the eaves has a shadow in a different place, whereas the chimney above the eaves on the roof is darker on the right and lighter on the left. It's a little strange, but that is actually how it's working. And I don't know if that's making sense, but that's actually how it helped. Now you'll notice in the sky, I go from at the base, it's lighter, and then as I move up in the sky, it's got a more brilliant, more intense value. And also you'll notice that on the left side, there's more light than on the right. It's darker blue. But anyway, so I'm going to be working on that patio area. It has a little wooden extension. And I guess the family had a wonderful time there. They would have meals and chat and play games and just enjoy life, enjoy each other's company in this place. Now, the way you work with pastel is by layering, and you build your colors. You have a variety of colors, but you largely adjust the colors as you go with layers. You can do it several different ways by putting colors next to each other, and that changes the color slightly. Or you can do it by just laying right on top and then sometimes rubbing them in, and that'll just give the perfect combination of colors. So we're working on the shadows and the darker green of the shadows. And as a result, that's one of the issues that we are working with. Let me see if I can move this up ahead a little bit. There. We're going to get back to, and I wanted to lighten that roof a little bit more and give the roof more texture and a little bit more color. And so I'm doing this project right now.
Both screens is working.
Okay. Sound is, and I'm hoping the sound is good as well.
Yep.
So here we have, now one of the things that I have this receding grass, and as it goes into the distance, it is lighter, but it also is less intense. So, and less saturated would be the term. And so I'm still, that on the far right middle area where you have the grass in the distance, I wanted to get that value a little lighter. And now I'm working on the foreground shadowed grass that's got the dappled grass of the trees. Now the scene was actually a spring scene, but of course in the spring you wouldn't have the garden flowers, so I had to change it a little bit. I'm going to still keep the dappled appearance from the trees to the left that are casting a shadow, because I think that's kind of interesting. But the tree on the right and in the background is going to be, of course, in full leaf, because this is a summer scene. And now I'm working on one of the areas that I was really struggling with originally, which is at, I think it's a cypress, some sort of evergreen that seemed too large and too important in the earlier, in the photograph and in my sketches. So I decided to make it a little smaller and give it a little less, just make it a little smaller so it wouldn't draw. And then of course I had to darken the windows a little bit so that, and the doorway, so that it would balance out compositionally. We wouldn't have, so that's, now I'm blending the colors and getting the greens that I want in that pastel area. So far, so I want to make some of these a little darker. I lift that up so that we do collect a lot of dust when working on pastel. And I'm using that device to rub it out a little bit so you can see the decisions I'm making. Now, it is not exactly as it looks here, but I have to prepare the background so that I can put these trees, these plants in eventually, and I need to do that before, largely before I start doing that. And right now I feel that the foreground has a little bit too, it's too spotty, and I'm going to have to work on building that foreground in a more believable way. And so that's one of the things that I'm working on here. And as you can see, they have working on the shapes and the light. It's interesting that that right side of the building is actually fairly light, much lighter than even the area on the left, which I have also light. And eventually that's going to be darker, but I wanted to give it because I'm putting some things in front, and I want to have, now those are the poles. There's some poles in there. But I really feel the foreground needs to get a little bit more work, and so that's what I think I'm going to be doing here. When you're working in pastel, it's really a layering technique for me, and I'm building the values and the exact hue that way until I get the effect that I'm looking for. And right now I'm using different values of green, different hues of green. Some are warmer greens, some are cooler greens. Throwing in a little black. And then I'm coming back with yellow on top, which is really one of the things I really like about working with pastel, that ability to layer and adjust the values. As you can see, I think eventually I'm going to need a little bit more of that yellow. Yeah, we're going to go back and do some more of that yellow. And I really like the feel that I'm creating with this. And I really am, it's dark enough that it's actually giving the focus being on the house, and the yellow is kind of there as a foil surrounding and leading you around the house and back into the house. And as the gradation from the sky from a darker side to a lighter side, that leads your eye also around. So you're going around and around. And now we're going to work a little bit more on the background there, darken those areas. And I'm really pleased with, and you can, the nice thing too about pastels, if you don't like an area, you can always rub it out with a brush and go back into it, which is very forgiving. I like the feel of the pastel. Some people don't, but I do. I like the feel of but I like dirt, so. But it's basically pigment mixed with gum arabic. And so with that we create kind of a and we'll go back in and change things. They're a little too regular, so I was looking for a specific cream that I wanted to use. And I want to break that up. And as you can see, sometimes you get things a little messy. You have to go back and clean them up so they stay nice and clean. What I'm really looking forward to is doing the flowers on the patio. I think that's going to be really nice. Because right now it's interesting but not exciting. And I think that's going to work out really well. And as you can see, we have more. I'm working on some of it. And I have to get this all ready so that our next demo, I'm going to be doing the foreground flowers and all the thing. And I'm not doing everything in there because we have to make it look, and it will be darker eventually in that back wall. But I'm hesitant to do that right now. It's a nice tool, the burner. And I think for today, we're coming to a close. We'll be done in a few seconds. And I think you're going to find that, I think we're going to be ready next time to do the flowers and the garden area, and that's going to be, and then after we do that, we'll go in and make it a little darker in the background. If I was doing this, yeah, I really like that. That's, I think you'll really like that. That's, I'm doing a little tree. I just couldn't stop myself today, but getting ready for that. So this will be really nice.